Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we've last recorded, but the Steel Target podcast. Oh, yeah, let me start that again. The
It's been a
Steel,
while, hasn't
yeah,
it,
it's
Jeff?
been a while. I can't even talk. The Steel Target Paint podcast. I must enunciate better, Steve, is back. And of course, I'm Jeff Jones. And as always, my partner in crime, Steve Foster. Steve, how are you today?
What's up, Jeff? I'm doing great. How are
Good,
you?
good, good. I am great. Got to shoot this weekend. We had a Saturday night match at the WAC, and we had a Sunday match at Ruskin. So I got a lot of guns in this weekend, getting prepared for Worlds. How about yourself?
Man, it's coming up pretty quick. I think I ran about 1,000 rounds this weekend just testing guns and all that other stuff. So I did a little bit of shooting, but testing a lot of customer guns
So
and
when you're
triggers and
testing,
accurizing kits. It's crazy.
it's a great question. When you're testing, are
Mhm.
you just doing function tests, or are you also like standing in the box, may or may not be with a timer, and shooting a stage to see how it feels when you're transitioning?
Yes, the last part.
You
So
do more of the
here,
last part.
here's Yeah, yeah. So here's the interesting part. Ruger dropped it's a 4.4 inch, same as my Green Hulk gun, but they dropped a 250th anniversary of Liberty gun commemorating, the Declaration of Independence and all that kind of stuff from 1776. And so what it is, it's pretty much the same gun that I was shooting, but it's pretty inexpensive. I think maybe the mount's like $30 that comes on it. It's a multi-use mount, and man, it's a pretty good gun. So what I did, and I'll get some pictures posted out there. I posted in one of the Ruger groups, but it's essentially Volquartsen internals, hard trigger. Of course, I got a custom anodized trigger in that Volquartsen bolt, the brass Big Daddy grips, magwells, and I took the black off of the upper, and I did a kind of like a medium polish. It's not a mirror polish because you want it to look nice, but you don't want it to be obnoxious while you're out on the range. Maybe you do. I don't know,
Why
but
not? What's wrong with
yeah.
obnoxious? I'm already there. Why shouldn't my gun be that as well?
Well, I just don't want to blind too many people. It's definitely shiny out in the light for sure. And then I took one of our compensators and polished it up to about the same level. And man, dude, it's such a sweet, sweet gun. But yeah, the optic plate for what it is, it's pretty nice. So I'm shooting the 5 MOA Defender XL. But yeah, man, I was doing some function testing and just that was one of them. But man, that was kind of the big project this weekend to get that knocked out and maybe make its debut during the World Speed Shoot. And then, of course, I was testing out the new Volquartsen lighter bolts, which have been a little bit tough to get a hold of. I've got a couple, and hopefully we get a couple more here pretty soon. And yeah, it just I don't know. It's once you shoot a gun, you know how it goes, Jeff. You shoot a gun, you put so many thousands and thousands of rounds through it. Any little difference, you do notice it. And I like the little bit less reciprocating mass on the full quartz and bolt. It'd be interesting to see if they took out just a little bit more, so you didn't lose the structural integrity, but just a little bit of weight. The less reciprocating mass, I could feel it just and it's subtle, right? A lot of people,
Hmm.
well, you don't need a compensator for a 22, and maybe you don't, but anyway, all those little enhancements make a big difference. So yeah, so that's what I was doing this weekend, and there's a couple other top secret projects that we're continuing development on, and put
So speaking of
together
top
quite a
secret
few bus
projects,
stocks and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I talk to a lot of people that listen to the podcast, and they're like, "Can you get Steve to tell us something?" And so, can you share anything? Can you maybe share? Let's just share what platform it's for. Is it for a pistol, for a rifle, or for a PCC? Just share that much.
Well,
We're not going to put you on the spot here.
so there's three projects that are coming close to fruition.
Okay.
One is for the Mark IV.
All
One
right.
is for the 10.
There's rimfire pistol,
Yeah, and then one's for the 1022,
rimfire
and then
rifle.
hopefully, I don't know if it'll be this weekend, next weekend, if everything goes right, we should have something coming out about an AR style gun. So we'll see how it all goes. We'll see how it
Um,
all goes. But
okay, people,
a little bit of this, a little bit of
I
that.
came through. I came through, people. People that listen to the podcast that ask me, you talk to Steve all the time. Can you get some more information? So there it is, people. You now know as much as I do about what's going on in the inner sanctum of Creekside Customs. The question
Yeah,
is,
there's a.
do you put like a mad scientist outfit on and you look like Doc Brown with the hair? I can't pull it off, but maybe you can.
Well, I don't know, man. With everything else going on, I think I'm losing hair quicker than it's growing in. So yeah, we do have a active list of projects, and not every project comes to fruition, or not every project we evaluate and go, hey, that's worth the is the juice worth the squeeze and that kind of thing. And so I had a meeting here a couple of weeks ago about a decent sized project, but it's just, how it goes, Jeff. It's like, is somebody gonna love that as much as I do?
Right.
And
Before the podcast,
it's
we were talking, and I'd like to share this insight because I think it's good for a lot of people to hear this. And I
sure.
asked Steve straight up, before the Mark IVs came out, everybody was shooting Mark IIIs.
Mhm.
And those people didn't just decide, well, I'm not gonna shoot my Mark III anymore. I'm gonna buy a Mark IV. Um, because I shoot scorpions, and so I'm always asking Steve. I was very fortunate with what he did with the brass grips and came out with a scorpion version of those. And of course, the compensators fit because the thread pattern is the same on the barrels. But there are some things that he's come out for. The triggers worked on a scorpion, but there was maybe some minor changes you had to, I think, make with that.
Yeah,
Well,
and
why?
let's pause. Well, let's pause right there for a second.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the rest of your question. Is one of the testing that I did this past week was that exact thing where somebody loved the feel of the 1922 trigger, and thank you. I can't say this enough. Thank you to everybody that has supported that project. The amount of those triggers that we've sold has just been very humbling and overwhelming. So my wife and I really appreciate everybody's support with that project. It's been crazy. But so we had somebody that tried my trigger actually at your match, Jeff, here a few months ago, and then we put
Mm-hmm.
in one of our triggers in their scorpion. But what happened is that over the course of time, if it's an older scorpion, most of them drop right in, like mine and probably yours
Yep.
or whatnot. If it's a newer scorpion, they change the length of the trigger bar, and they're trying to find that perfect sweet spot, and that kind of thing. And so I ended up having to remove some material off the back of that hump, and it's quite a bit. But man, Daniel Harris will tell you he's got one. It's just that's got to be one of the best triggers for what we do in the sport in a scorpion.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing, but there's some gunsmith fitting required to shave off that hump in the back. But
I
anyway,
was
go ahead,
very
Jeff.
fortunate because my Scorpions are older models that
Yep.
they dropped right in, and I had no problem. But to
Yep.
get back to the point, and I asked Steve straight up, why aren't you making stuff for the Mark III? And because I said people got to have them, and he had a very frank, succinct answer, and that is this game tends to have around a 3-year churn. And so while a lot of people that used to own Scorpions still own them, they're not shooting anymore. And so the guns have been retired because the shooters have retired.
Yep.
Whereas somebody getting new into the sport is more than likely going to buy a Mark IV as opposed to a Mark III.
Yep.
Because in their estimation, it's the newer, better, stronger, faster, all that stuff. So I thought that was very interesting. So for everybody that wants Mark III parts on the Steel Target Paint Podcast Facebook page, just put something that says, I want Mark III parts. And if we get enough people rallied together, maybe we can pressure Steve into making us something.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got two Scorpions, and one's all aluminum. The other one was, I think they ran it for a short period of time. It's actually got a stainless steel upper to it, which is a super nice gun, at least,
Hmm.
because I like the weight. But it is your fault, Jeff. We have made and have stocked up to a certain point the grips and magwells for both aluminum and brass for a Scorpion. I think I'm down to one last set of aluminum uh, um, grips and magwells for the Scorpion. And so if you want something like that, let me know. And we have to run those in batches, which is, it could be a little bit expensive, but let us know, we can do that. But the good thing is the base pads work for the Mark III as well as the
Yep.
Mark IV with and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, I've had a lot of people. The problem is it's not really a lot of people, but I've had
That's
some
it.
people ask me for this or that, and it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. How long has the Mark IV been out? Probably 2015, maybe somewhere in there. So we're looking at 11 years. Pads go for, I think it's 15, but yeah, a lot of people. I've sold two Scorpions this past year. Everything, like a lot of Mambas and Mamba X's. In a lot of it, Jeff. Whether it's the push button takedown in the back that people love. There's a
Sure.
strength to that, but there's
Sure.
also a little bit of a liability to that if you put a lot of rounds through them. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's pretty
Well,
interesting. But
I mean,
Scorpion's a
I
great gun.
understand it. I understand it, and trust me, you've got a business to run. You want to do stuff for the shooters, but um, and I'm not taking anything away from the people that shoot a Taurus TX22, but that's an extremely small number of people, and you're really not going to spend a lot of time, especially with the amount of R&D that you do before you even get it to prototype phase to put something in for that's going to sell 20 units.
Yeah,
You
and it's every part, even if it's a simple, I say simple part because some of the simplest parts take the most time, effort, and revisions, because we sometimes it depends on what the part is and the tolerances. We'll 3D print them, and there's different levels of 3D printing, of course. But most of them we do a machine prototype just to make sure that we've got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, like the trigger shoe. That one, although it's a simplistic design, we've just made another little, just a real small change here recently that nobody would ever notice unless if you put in 500 triggers a year like myself.
hmm
It's just a lot of little things, and you never, the thing with engineering is it's tough to really get it right the first time, and so there's always a little bit of an evolution to it. So
Sure.
as an example, we spent quite a bit of time, money, and effort on the adjustable raised carbon fiber buttstock that we sell, and people that have them love them, and it's not a bargain, inexpensive upgrade, but it's one of the nicest upgrades I've got on my 1022 for sure. But we are this week should have it's going to be, I think it's a nylon carbon fiber um, cheek rest that's actually rounded, because there's been some feedback for some folks that are like, I kind of like the rounded one, but a lot of other people like how the pad drops lower so you keep your head upright. It's very interesting. I had a call with a customer yesterday evening. My wife said it was okay to answer the phone on Mother's Day, just for clarity, Jeff. But I asked him, I said, why do you want that butt side? Just to get somebody else's perspective. And they're like, it prompts you to have your head up straight instead of leaning over. I said, thank you. Thank you. That's one of the problems that we were trying to solve. So that was cool. So we've got a custom chassis and buttstock heading his way. But yeah, it's just a little evolution here or there. Let's change just a little. How do we make it? It's never, nothing you do is ever going to be completely perfect for everybody in every situation, but we want to be as pretty darn close to possible on it. So anyway, we're
Well,
we're
I
excited
think you
about
told
all those
me,
kind of things.
I hope I'm not. letting the cat out of the bag here. I don't
Uh-huh.
think I am because you told it to me in an open forum at North Carolina State. But with your current buttstock, you've got the current cheek riser,
Yep.
which comes to more of a it's more angular against the face.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
But you're also coming out now with a rounded one.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Yep. You're
Right.
exactly right.
Right.
Yep.
So
And so and
maybe I
so
should
our
listen better.
that's okay. That's all right, Jeff. We've met. I know how you are. No, the
Squirrel. Wait,
but
wait, squirrel.
but you know, I mean, that buttstock, it's got it's everything's made out of, the clamps are made out of aluminum.
Yep.
The butt the butt pad or the recoil pad area bracket is all made out of those are very expensive to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could sell that buttstock for $150. But if we did, then we'd be losing money on every single buttstock we sold. But we've done some things. We're making a little bit of an enhancement to the recoil pad just to make it just a dash stiffer. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll have those this week. And along with that, we're going to have those rounded cheek risers. So I saved a little bit of money here. And my plan right now, unless something changes, is to send the stocks with the nice carbon fiber angle one, like what I would like, and then the other rounded one. So it's super nice. The downside for some people is you may need to put a riser on the gun if you have the carbon fiber one, and that's what I do, and a lot of people have done. But if you don't want to get a riser for your optic and you just want to use the rounded one, which is still going to be really, really nice, then you're going to have that option too. So
Excellent.
anyway, yeah,
Excellent.
it's yeah.
Well, let's
But
talk
back,
WSSC. The 2026 Ruger WSSC presented by Vortex Optics. I don't know about you, but I'm excited as ever. It's about 2 weeks away from the start of it. It'll start 2 weeks from this Wednesday. I did a quick back of the napkin counting on the match, and it looks like there's 698 guns in the match, which is phenomenal.
hey, did
So,
you see the notes from that Billy posted from Area 6? He said that at least a couple weeks ago there were still 100 people on the waiting list to get in the match.
oh yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. The match sold out in 5 minutes, I think it was. And now that was on open registration. There was a lot
Yeah,
of people that earned
free. Yeah,
pre-registration slots, and that is something that I think, if you have an interest in going to the World Speed Shoot, you should have an interest in going to your local area, not your local, going to your area match and winning a slot. And
yeah,
realize I've heard this from a lot of people. Like, I'm not going to have a chance to win because I'm not that good. There are division-based slots at an area match, okay? If there's 10 people in the division, the top two get a slot. But
yeah.
here's the thing. In each class, if there is 10 in the class, the top two people get it. As long as they're from the area. So like if you
Right.
go shoot area 2 and win, you
Good for
count
you.
you count towards the you count towards the 10, but you don't get to win
A slot. Yeah.
a slot from that area because you're in area 6. But you've got in each class. So if you're a B class, a C class, an A class shooter, and there's 10 that make it into that division at your area match, you can still earn a slot as much as a GM or a master shooter can.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the categories, there's also a way to win a slot. So, and those only have to have 5. So if you're a junior, a senior, a distinguished senior, if there's 5 distinguished seniors shooting RFRO and you win distinguished senior at the area match, you've also earned a slot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We've really tried. And, I've heard one person at least say, it's not fair. You're giving away all these slots to people who go to area matches. And I had to explain to them that one, they're performance based, so you have you have to perform to get the slot. Two, not all the slots get used. Okay, for all the ones we gave out, not all of them get used. Okay, but three, if you compare it to USPSA, they give out all the slots based on performance based, and then they do section slot disbursement to where their open registration is almost non-existent.
Yep.
Okay. And so we still do have the open registration. And, I don't believe there is or should be section mandates with regards to Steel Challenge. I think the way that we've got it running right now runs just fine. And, those that perform at area and at Worlds can earn a slot. So
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting at some point. I'm not on the Steel Challenge committee, but it'd be interesting at some point based on the number of guns if they'll end up start breaking up the World Speed Shoot into kind of like what they have done or the way it's set up today with USPSA to have, hey, this is going to be our rimfire worlds and here's our centerfire worlds and all that kind of stuff to, as the
well,
sport continues to increase in popularity,
if
you know.
I mean, I would say that if it got to the point where you could support a match for that length of time, it's possible. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at, say, for instance, the centerfire pistol, okay, this is all centerfire pistols. Out of the 688 that are registered, there's 189
100.
that are shooting centerfire pistol.
That's
Okay.
actually more than I thought it was going to be, Jeff. I thought it was
Yep.
going to be low hundreds,
LO
120 or
LO
something
has
like that.
really done a lot. In fact, when you look at the CO is sitting at 48, LO is sitting at 48, and opens at 34. And then you've got a smattering at
Man,
OSR, ISR, and the other centerfire divisions. But LO and CO are dominating this year at Worlds with regards to centerfire pistol.
I know I'm completely off track. What limited optics gun are you shooting?
I shoot a Springfield Armory Range Officer 1911 single stack,
And
and I just put a dot on it.
how did you cut? Did you cut a dot for it, or are you
Nope,
using one of
nope,
the
nope. So
dovetail?
I went to EGW and got a plate,
Huh,
and they had
man.
a plate that was for my dot for the cut of the slide, which I believe the two main cuts on the slides are either Bomar or Novak. And I
Yeah.
forget I forget which one it was. I sent them a picture and they went, "Oh, you need this type," and that's what I got. Um, and so that's what I've been running. And from a Steel Challenge perspective, if I get to 10 and I haven't hit all the plates, I should just stop. Anyways, I don't need to have I don't need to have 21 and I have tiny hands. I have tiny hands, so uh the single stack really fits well in my hand.
It's interesting. Again, I apologize. I'm getting way off track, but because we were talking about the World Speed Shoot, but we were talking a little bit about rimfire guns and what's going on with precision defense or not or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and those guns were pretty popular. And I just don't think it was because it was double stack, because everybody else is shooting. Not everybody, but it'd be interesting if USPSA, Jake Martins, if you're listening, to do an equipment survey of who's running what dots and guns and stuff like that. But most of the top shooters are shooting a Mark IV 19 or a 2245 gun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, it's interesting when you think about, well, is fatter better, thinner better? It's certainly
I, you know,
better
I
for
still, I
crossover to
still,
USPSA, but
I'm like you. I like a heavier gun. I
yep.
know a lot of people like lighter guns. Um, I think a lot of people generically say they like a lighter gun because they think they can move it faster, which with the transitions that we do, to me, it's almost non-existent. I mean, I don't want something that weighs 35 pounds. I'm not going to shoot a
Yeah.
precision 22 in this game, but the difference of what I would consider a heavy gun, say for a pistol, mine's with the brass grips. Geez, what's it probably coming in at? 42, 45 ounces, maybe? I don't know. I'd have
That's a
to weigh it.
good question. I probably would have went just a little bit heavier, but
Yeah. I mean, it could be. The point is like I do this to my students all the time, especially pendulum is a classic one. You get them in the box and they're like, they're having some troubles and they're talking about wanting to move faster. And what I do is I have them point a plate one and I put my finger on the outside of the barrel. And I have them point a plate four and I put my finger on the outside of the barrel. And then I have them safely move the gun out of the way and they see how far my fingers are apart. And that's all, it's actually one of the smaller transitioning stages in the game.
yeah,
Pendulum. And then, same thing for, roundabout, showdown. The difference is plate placement and which plate
yeah,
is where is a huge difference in how fast those stages get shot. But as far as
yeah.
transition, it's not that much. And, it's also not USPSA where you're having to move from position to position. Even the 6 foot we move in outer limits is not that it's not a big distance to move.
Right,
Uh,
right, right, right. Yep, yep.
so and don't get me wrong, I think you can go too light and I think you can go too heavy. I think you've got to go with a gun that feels good in your shoulder that you're comfortable with. But blatantly saying lighter is better to me is a misnomer until you've actually done it, shot it, and if you're proving to get better.
Yeah,
Um,
and I had this conversation last week with a customer about the same thing. It's they're heading down a slightly heavier build, and it's like, well, you tell me why you feel that way. And said, the front of the gun is just bouncing around all over the place. And I think it depends on, like, look, your build, your stature.
yeah, your
We've
form.
got we got a customer, little Nat Bug, Natalie. She's 10 years old, and she's got a 2245 light with aluminum grips magwell on it. That's a perfect gun for her to shoot. And if she's older, she could do the same thing. But she shoots a Wyland, or yeah, Wyland. She's shooting a Crazy Ivan chassis with a regular buttstock on it, and it's a perfect balance for her, and
Yep.
it's not too heavy, So
Well,
it's
that was a good point. Is that for the youth, the very young youth, okay, that 10 years old getting started, 10, 11, 12, um, they're still learning the game. And some of them are extremely fast. But
yep,
yeah, that's where a heavy gun could definitely be a detriment because over the course of the entire match, they're just going to be drained.
yeah, yep.
So I
It,
100% agree with that. And I've seen the anomalies too. I've got one student who is now he's 11. He started with 10 and he shoots a Mark IV with Big Daddy brass grips.
yeah,
And the gun is dwarfing his hands. Like he's
yeah,
barely
yeah,
able to get his hands around it, but he shoots it well. And the
yeah.
fact that he does shoot it well just is going to bode him better as he gets older. But I would also say that's more of the anomaly than it is the rule when it comes to the youth.
Yeah, and there's other options like with our Crazy Ivan chassis. We, Justin Childress, aka Chili, talked to him
Yeah.
a couple months ago. Man, he's getting his son. I'm like, man, wasn't your son just born? But anyway, he's in the shooting now, and so we helped him out with the chassis, and he wanted something light, so we got an option to put a carbon fiber tube and a minimalistic type, aluminum buttstock in the back, which is I think our chassis body is like 8.9 ounces. The MOC rail maybe like 2. So it's a 10-ounce chassis. So there's nothing to it. And then the carbon fiber tube in the back, if it's maybe an ounce, maybe less. And then the little, the buttstock's a couple ounces. It's a super light setup. But even him at a young age, he's like, man, this is nice. And then I said, is it too late? And he's like, yeah, I think so. So we put a, or actually, how it happened is Chili wanted to shoot it outside of his son, so we, hooked him up with a adjustable buttstock with a buffer tube, and yeah, so it's light enough, but it's the balance of putting a buttstock on there is more weight in the back, so overall noticeable weight. You doesn't feel like you're carrying a lot. It just can't have it too far out in the nose. You know what I mean? So that's like
Sure.
with even our original chassis. That's why we make the carbon fiber handguard, because you don't want the weight out at the end of the gun. So anyway,
Right.
but
All right. Well, let's wrap up a little bit of WSSC. Couple things I wanted to point out for people to hear. If you're listening to this, please go back and double check your USPSA number and make sure it's exactly correct as it's currently recorded by the organization. Meaning, if you were an A and you bought a 3-year or a 5-year and you went to a TY or an FY, please update your registrations on WSSC to that. It needs to be an exact match when it comes to doing some of the background things. So please do that. I also know some people who used to be TYs that downgraded to A's, and so they went back to the annuals, and they need to make those changes. Also, make sure you didn't fat finger a number, because that's going to
why do
happen.
why do I feel attacked when you say that, Jeff?
Steve, I would never call you out specifically on that unless I knew it was true.
Yeah, there's a lot of sixes in that, and sometimes they ended up with fives at the end. I remember that conversation a year or two ago. Anyway, that was pretty funny. But
The other
no,
thing,
looking forward to. When are you going to be there, Jeff? When are you coming? When are you going? All that kind of stuff.
I'm going to drive up Monday. I'm going to drive up Monday,
Okay.
Memorial Day. I'm going to hang out Tuesday. I don't think we can get on the range to do anything. You might be able to get on the range, but you can't get on the range to do anything. But where I'm staying, my friend has a little home, what he calls his wonky range. And so I'm going to sight in all the guns on Tuesday. And then I start shooting Wednesday afternoon. And then I'll be
Yeah.
shooting every day until the end.
Dang, that's a lot of guns, man.
I'm
I
shooting
don't know if we're
6.
shooting together. Are you? Yeah, I
Um,
think
I
we're
can't
shooting
remember.
together Wednesday or Thursday, aren't we? Anyway,
Probably.
I'm shooting Wednesday afternoon and Thursday afternoon, and we're gonna have our booths set up and all that kind of stuff with all the crazy cool stuff. Hopefully, we got one or two other products that will be here in time. No promises. It's going to be 50-50 at this point in time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing, and if you noticed, Billy Harrington, our A6 director, had put it in his recap, and this is something that Zach reported to uh, the board of directors when he was during the meeting, and that is one of our newest divisions, Rimfire Revolver Optic, actually has 16 guns in the WSSC.
Woo,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
cool.
yeah. In fact, it's now that has moved ahead of single stack production and limited. Um, and in fact, if you are a production shooter, uh, get signed up because right now it's looking like there won't be a divisional award because there's only going to be 7. There's only currently 7 people signed up for production.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, times have changed. The times have changed, and you look at it too, like RFPI, there's only 24 compared to RFPO, which is 105.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
RFRI is pretty good. RFI's got 62, RFRO's at 137.
Wow.
And then PCCI has 34, and PCCO is at 111.
Oh
So,
wow.
you can kind of do the numbers and sit there and go, RFPO, RFRO, PCCO are all over 100. They're representing better than 50% of the match just in those 3 divisions.
That's crazy.
And it's been this way for a while.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, LO has brought back some people to shooting Steel Challenge in center fire. I love it. I think it's a blast. I'm still, two of the guns I plan on shooting at the match are center fire guns. So I still love it, and can still do it, and will continue to do it until I can't do it no more. So
That's really cool.
yeah, all right.
Where
Well,
you
let's do
where
this. Well, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, where you heading after that? We're heading to Metal Madness, I think the weekend after up in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Um, I don't know. Actually, the week after, I drive home on that Monday after Worlds, and my family is flying in from Illinois, and spending 2 weeks down here in the summer. So I don't know what. Right after it, I'm probably not going to be doing much shooting. I'm going to be spending time with family.
That's
Um,
awesome, man. That'd be
and
cool.
there's still a lot of shooting that can be done after Worlds. In fact, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and prior to Worlds, you've got the Pennsylvania State Championship coming up on the May 15th weekend, and the weekend right before the World Speed is the Utah State Steel Championships, and then you got the WSSC 2026 Ruger World Speed Championships presented by Vortex is going to be again that May 27th start date. The week after, on the same weekend, the week after, you've got the Michigan State, you've got the Kenai Peninsula Steel Classic in Alaska, and you've got the Colorado State Steel Challenge Championships. That's all on the June 5th weekend. Following that, the weekend after, Area 5. And man, I wish I could go to that. But the one year they ran it the weekend after Worlds, I was able to go. But I can't make it there. But that's a great match to go to. Steve and crew do a fantastic job at that match. And you don't get your trophies right away. You get them in the mail and they're personalized, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
End of June, New Hampshire State Championships. And then, looking in July, you've got Area 1. Looks like the second weekend July. And then towards the end of July, you've got Wisconsin State on the 24th. You've got Pioneer Sportsman Area 7 at the end of July, July 31st weekend. And that is the same weekend as the Tennessee State. So, and that's just up through July. And as I scroll, there's a whole nother page and these are just major matches coming up. So, keep in mind, you've still got all your locals that are going to be available. So, there's there's a lot of opportunity to shoot. There's no reason to say you can't go shooting because it's out there.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. World Speed Shoot. Then my wife are gonna go to the Metal Madness match, and then I think it's the third or fourth weekend in June. There's a Michigan State Rimfire
Yep.
Challenge match that we're gonna go to. Todd and Sheila Hoekstra, and then it's a memorial match for I'm losing it. It's Mariah's mom. I can't think of her name. I think it's Sharon, but so that's going to be a good match. And then we're going to be at the Tennessee Creekside Custom match, and then the end of sometime in August is the Virginia State Creekside Custom match. So we're looking to go to that. So we're going to be all over the place. It's going to be fun for the next couple of months, and hopefully settle down at the end of the summer, man. Anyway.
Well, I saw somebody. We're going to end this. We're going to end this with this year, and hopefully for years to come. You're now sponsoring the West Florida Steel Challenge Championships.
Yep.
And next year is going to be the 10th annual.
Yep.
Now, we're also fortunate to be running the Florida State Steel Challenge Championships out of the WAC. And
Is it the
said,
second weekend in
it is going to be the
November?
weekend before, second week. Well, it'll be the third weekend in November, right before Thanksgiving this year. Okay. And it's as much as I would love to have you sponsor the match, I know you're doing a lot out there, because I had somebody say, why isn't Creekside sponsoring this match? And I said, Creekside sponsoring more than enough matches. We would love to have him come down. He can set up his booth, but I'm not looking to have him sponsor the match because he's doing enough for the organization, Steel Challenge and the shooters out there, that he doesn't need to be sponsoring all our matches. And so that's why I haven't asked you, nor do I expect you, but I would love to have you come down and be there. And bringing your booth to the shooters. But to answer questions of people asking, that's why Creekside is not sponsoring the state steel championships, because and I'm not putting Steve on the spot. He didn't know I was going to say this. This is not meant to put him on the spot by any stretch. I appreciate him like I appreciate a brother. I know he's doing a lot for a lot of matches, and adding another one on there is not what he needs right now.
Well, and to that point, we wish that we could sponsor every single match in the country. We do give quite a bit based on how much revenue we bring in,
Yeah.
because I'm just part of the community, and I'm a firm believer to you take water out of the pail, you got to put some back in, and we just want to be out there, be part of the community, and I think it's not. I look at it as, I hate to say an obligation, but it's one of those things. It's like this is this is our
stop
community.
giving
So how
us
to
all this crap. You just like going to
support it, man?
matches and seeing people and shaking hands and kissing babies, and we all know it. And so
That doesn't
don't give me.
hurt. That doesn't hurt.
I've seen you.
Yeah.
I've stepped off to the side at North Carolina. I was just kind of off to the side, and I saw you interacting with everybody that came up to the booth, and you just relish in every interaction you have with people, because that's who you are.
Man, it's just our community has some of the best, and it's very diverse.
Yep.
We all have a common passion of guns, but there's doctors, lawyers, machinists. Yeah, it's just like people that CEO of nonprofits that are really, really significant in size. Retired people. There's people out there that make $10 an hour to multimillionaires. It's just like, it's crazy, but you don't think about those kind of things when you're talking to them, because you're talking about a love and passion for the gear and the
Yep.
guns and the sport and the community. It's really cool. It is work though, man. It's a lot of work, but man, we're having a great time, and it's something cool that our family can do together, which is super awesome. So we're pretty thankful.
Cool. Hey, one last thing. Did you happen to see that I've now created my business name for the training school I run, and the mascot that I've come up with?
Maybe I did. Maybe I did.
So I've been training people for a number of years, and when Dad passed away, I retired from corporate America and started my training school, and I now have it. It's got a name. It's called Split Second Steel Academy, and the mascot is a gecko, and there's a very good reason why the mascot is a gecko. With all the little sayings and stuff, grip the gun, go one for one, and all this kind of stuff that I use, the gecko really embodies that, because the G stands for grip, the E stands for eyes, the C stands for core, the K stands for knees, and the O stands for one. And I literally had people at North Carolina State telling me they were thinking gecko and shot some of the best stages they've ever shot, uh,
That's cool.
to remind them of exactly what they need to do. So yeah, that's very cool. So
That's awesome,
if
Jeff.
you're ever down here in Florida, in the Clearwater area, hit me up, and we'll see if we can get you involved in some of the training I do at the WAC. And if for anything, just come shoot at the WAC and have an experience like you've never shot before, because it's a weird place to shoot in, that's for sure.
Yeah, some say weird, some say some other things, but this is a G-rated show. Jeff, Jeff, I thought for sure you were going to talk about being an honorary member of the clown car
Well,
shooting team.
okay, so we'll talk about that too. So for those that don't know, there's a number of Florida slash, I think their summer home is Connecticut or New
Vermont.
Hampshire, Vermont, and they they've called themselves the clown car crew, and I got a shirt. They said me they were going to send me a shirt, and they sent me the shirt, and they said that the name you have in the team has to be agreed upon by everyone on the team. And according to the note I got, Steve, you had a little bit of input into this. I don't.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jeff.
So my name on the team is Surround Sound. And
I'm not sure where that came from. I have no idea.
I have to admit, I when I opened it up and read that, I dropped the shirt and doubled over laughing so hard because it was just perfect. It was just perfect. So thank you to that
That's
team
awesome.
for that shirt. I will next time I see you guys in a match, I'll be wearing it proudly to be part of that because that was a lot of fun. And again, to your point, Steve, that's the kind of people we have in this community,
Yep,
that
yep.
are just having fun like that. Um, I've joked about it. It's turned into a meme. It's turned into just something we do where, you know, hey Jeff, do you know Steve has a home range? I hope that lasts forever. When you and I are long gone, I hope people remember that because it is one of the funniest things that's happened to me with that bumper sticker made by John Bardis, and it's taken on a life of its own. Now people are as soon as they get a home range, they've got to make sure they let me know on Facebook that they've got a home range. You know,
We gotta start selling the stickers and T-shirts. I'll get my wife working on that.
yeah, we start
So
getting.
so did you see that Baylor Rose? She posted from last weekend's match up at CMP. Somebody has a cooler with Savigny Performance and has that sticker on. Whose cooler is that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. I'll check out her
Was that on
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah, I laughed my butt off. I'm
Okay,
like, where did the? We know whose cooler it is. I'm just drawing a blank. I was
Baylor.
thinking it was. Did Chris end up shooting that match? I don't know. Anyway, but
Um, hold on. I'm quickly as I'm sitting here in front of my computer. Let's see if I can find that post. Come on.
it's in one of the pictures that she
Yeah.
has.
Oh my God. It's that. Who could that be? Yeah,
I,
that's one of the stickers. Because I know I gave one to Kylie Wells when they were shooting, and they put it on their dune buggy.
yeah, on their razor.
Yeah. Man,
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
we'll
Somebody's going to
have to
reach out
figure
to
that out.
us.
We may have to ask Baylor. Of course,
No,
we have
she
this
doesn't
thing.
know. She doesn't.
Oh,
No, my
she doesn't
wife did. She
remember.
doesn't. No, she doesn't know whose it was. She just saw it sitting there.
Okay, that's hilarious.
It's pretty
Well, if
funny.
okay, so if you know who the owner of it looks like a nice big green ammo can that's got a Savigny Performance, a CMP sticker, and a Hey Jeff, did you know Steve has a home range? Oh, I wonder if that's Chris Stewart.
That's what I'm saying, but I don't know if he shot the match.
I just
Anyway,
talked to him. Yes, he did shoot the latest match at the CMP.
yeah, it's got to be his. It's
It's
got to
got to
be
be
his.
Chris. Yeah.
Yep.
And if it is Chris, then I'm going to make sure I wear my hair hat for him because he loves that hat.
Oh, I'm disturbed. All right, Jeff. It looks like we're out of time today.
You got it, Steve. Good talking
All right,
with you.
brother. It
Hey,
was good talking
everybody,
with you.
don't forget if you want anything from rangestore.net, we've got paint. There's the knuckle towels, which I love. You've got lens cleaner, silicone, that bug spray. There's a story behind that. Maybe we'll tell you about that bug spray in the next episode. Use ST Podcast 10 on checkout for 10% off your order. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Bye.